You know, yeah, we are on YouTube. So let's start. Good afternoon, YouTube. We are here for another English immersion. My name is Warley, and the topic for today is dealing with money. So we're going to talk a little bit about this topic. But before to start, I would like to explain a little bit about Talk and Talk and about this kind of immersion. So you that are watching us on YouTube can understand how this dynamic works, okay? So, Talk and Talk is a conversation platform for beginner, intermediate, and advanced speakers. It's not so mandatory or important your level in English. The idea here is to focus on the conversation with a real topic, with real people, and don't focus on corrections, for example. So the idea is to develop your fluency and your confidence as an English speaker. I'm not an English teacher or a language teacher at all. Actually, I'm here to learn with you as well. Um, what else? Besides English, we have another language like Spanish, French, Italian, and German, I believe. And you can see that all of that on the Talk and Talk website, okay? So, with that in mind, I think we can go to the introductions and after that with the questions, okay? So, Katarini, can you please introduce yourself for us?
So, hello guys, I'm Catherine. I live in a small city here called Nilópolis. I work as a teacher. I live with my sister and my mom. I don't have kids yet. I just have a dog. And I really like go to the gym, swimming, running skating is my hobby. Um, um, yeah, I think that's it for today.
Amazing, amazing. And how about you, Karina? Can you please introduce yourself first?
Hello, my name is Karina. I'm 26 years old. I live in São Paulo City. I have a kitten. She's really, really cute. I work as a product designer, as no UX UI designer. My hobbies are, I don't know, I like to read. I practice pole dance. Um and I think it's that.
Awesome, awesome. So, about me, my name is Warley. I'm 25. I live in Recife, Pernambuco right now. I work with IT as well, as a product manager. I'm also English host here on Talk and Talk. I'm here since 2022. I have started with Spanish as a Spanish host, and nowadays I'm focused more on English. I like to learn language. My goal is to learn Italian maybe in the next years, but I don't know. But now I'm focused on English. I also like to learn about neuroscience and human behavior. I like to run. And yeah, I think that's all about me, guys. So let's start with the question number one. How important is financial education in schools? And do you think it should be mandatory on schools, for example, here in Brazil or maybe in the world? I don't know. Let me know, Karina. We start with you.
I think it's really, very important. I haven't know any financial education, so I have no idea what to do with money. So I don't know how to invest. I don't know how to save money. I don't know nothing. Also, I don't know when I'm going to retire. So I think should be mandatory, maybe, because I think it's really important to know how to deal with your own money and how make money with money, like investing. So I think it's really important because it's like a question of survival, I guess.
Yeah, that's a good point. When you are an adult, it's pretty important to have this kind of knowledge, you know. It's when you are living alone, for example, and you need to pay the bills and dealing with all this stuff, it's pretty important to know how money works in a general way. I don't know if you need to know exactly all the points about investments and all this stuff, the complex stuffs, but it's important to have this basic knowledge, you know. It's pretty important. But how was the experience with you about this kind of topic when you are a child, for example, maybe with your family or on the school? I don't know if you had this point on school.
No, I haven't. Actually, everything I know about money is just because of my dad. He sometimes he like talk to me about some things, but I am always like, I don't know what this words means. Like it's a lot of things. And like my mom, she is not a good example because she doesn't have no idea how to deal with money as well. My father, he has a little bit of knowledge about money in general, so everything I know it's from him. But I don't know, like money, it's not a topic in my house as should be. So I don't know. I I'm not very like I could learn more, but I'm not really interested about that. I think it's really boring. And I think it's because I've never have touch with this. It's not a touch point for me. So I don't know.
Yeah, I think is that that's a pretty common experience, when you don't have like this experience or these conversations about this topic when you're a child. When you grow up, I think it will be harder to understand and to have motivation to study this. It's more complicated. With me, it's like the opposite, as you said about the family, for example, because I have learned a lot with my mom, and my father is not so good example about this. So I believe that this impact a lot, and because of this point, and not about know all this the topics related to this and study a lot about this, but the basic things related to organization and dealing with money and to create a budget, for example, and all this stuff. I believe that's pretty important, and it maybe because of these basic things that I learned with my mom. Nowadays, I can dealing more with that, but I also agree with you. It's pretty boring to study about all these words and all these points related to economy. For me, it's boring as well. It's not so interesting to study, but it's important, as I said. The basic, for example, it's very important.
Yeah, my father,
But
he
yeah,
sent me like a lot of videos on YouTube about, I don't know, some things, and
yeah,
I've never watched it. So I'm terrible at this.
yeah, exactly. I have like a list of videos that's important to study, for example, for me. But I'm always procrastinating this. It's boring. I I I like to study, for example, about how to set a budget and organize my money to investments and this point, but study about investments specifically, about the difference between uh, where I need to invest, for example, is pretty boring for me. It's a lot of context and we need a lot of knowledge before to study that. So yeah, it's complicated, but it's important as well. So, and what about you, Katarina? Let me know your opinion.
Okay, I think it is a good subject to put in the school, but we have take care about that because sometimes we just think that the solution of the world is create a new subject and put it school. But the kids must be a mature brain to know how to dealing to learning the subject. And I don't know the correct age for introduce the financial education. Um, Maybe in the high school or some years before. Because if you introduce this subject in the, I don't know, kindergarten, they even know what is money. So it's complicated. And if I think this should be mandatory or not. Yeah, I think it should be mandatory because everybody will dealing with the will have oh sorry. You must have dealing with money in adult life. So I think it is a important aspect of the life. And it maybe can help with math, because normally people have difficult to learn math and the financial education maybe it's a good way to dealing with this subject. So
Yeah, you brought an interesting point related to know exactly how to implement this, because it's important to study and to take care on this implement, for example, because as you said, it depends on the age for in a general way, and maybe the kid doesn't know how what's money actually, and they need basic knowledge to study about this. So I don't know if it's totally possible, but let me know about you. Do you think it's possible to spread this idea, for example, here in Brazil, to have this topic on schools? Do you think it's possible or, I don't know, achievable?
for I don't know, every school that you mentioned.
Yeah, maybe.
I think so. Like I said before, everybody has to know how to dealing with money. So yeah, it's an important subject. So yeah, that's it. When I was a child, I remember that I saved some money
Mhm.
from the lunch. So instead to buy lunch, I saved some money because I really want to buy something. And I save this money until I have the enough budget to buy. So I think it's a kind of a financial education, maybe, I don't know. Maybe in this age I already uh have a notion of money, and it would be very good if I had a financial education that time. So because it's really complicated to understand some things, like how invest and how the things works. So until now, I don't have this this knowledge. So I work with biology, so for me, it's very difficult. My mom is account, so she know a little more about me. Sometimes I have to ask for her help because I don't understand that.
Yeah, I agree with you both on the point of maybe it should be mandatory and it's pretty important for everyone to know about this. But as I said before, it's important to study how to implement these, maybe to implement these in baby steps, for example, because it doesn't matter if a kid know, for example, what Selic is. It's not important to
Mm.
know exactly this, but it's important to know what is money and how to deal in basic points with that. And on these baby steps, you can to have an evolution on this idea. So when you are growing up, for example, you are gonna understand better how to deal with money, how the financial points works, and how to live in a general way. Because I think that Karina said about this word is like a survival topic. It's pretty important. All of us need to do about this.
Yeah, I think the main question could be like which kind of it's kind? No, it's type, sorry. Which type
Yeah.
of financial education that you will implement, because I think financial education is more about to teach math or to teach how Silix works. Is about yourself too, how you work, how you can dealing with your traumas, because sometimes people, buy a lot of things because in her brand is not everything okay. So I think it has this emotional part too. So yeah, that's it.
Yeah, that's a good point. Money is not related to a exactly thing. It's also about how people works and about emotional things as well. And the point about the environment, like your family and your context, the context of your family, for example, impacts a lot on your idea about money. So maybe I don't know, topics related to emotional things and this basic thing related to money, it's also important. It's not just money and the tax and
Mhm.
all these words specifically. It's uh, a set of things, you know. It's important. It's also important to study about this point and understand how people think and what they think about money as well. You know, it's a good point.
Yeah.
It's a pretty good point. Yeah, that's nice. So let's go to the question number two right now. We are talking before about kids, for example, on this context. Let's talk about the adults, for example. Um, how does debt affect mental health and overall well-being in a general way? Like, uh, how do you think money in specific things affect this point of mental health and emotional things and overall well-being for everyone in a general way, you know? So let me know, Katarina, what's your opinion?
Um, yeah, right now I'm in between jobs, you know. So I worry a lot because I have enough money to keep myself for some months, but
Hmm.
you know, I'm a little worried about it. Like, oh my goodness, if I don't find any job, so you know, I'm in this moment, but I don't have any debt, thanks for God. And actually, I have the opposite situation because a person that belong my family debt to me. I don't know, is that uh a little money, and I think this person maybe shouldn't pay me, you know. And I just like, oh my goodness, I need the money. Right now, I really need the money, and I think maybe this person don't pay me in the future. Don't tend to pay me, but yeah, it's complicated when you try to be kind and this kind of thing will happen, you know. So that's it.
Are you doing like a career transition right now?
No, no, I'm just I worked until last year, but my previous jobs fired me. So now
Okay,
I'm
understand.
just really in the between jobs, you know. I trying to
Mm.
find another school. So
Okay, okay, I got it. Actually, I don't know how to say that in English. Let me see. But you said about the point of to have money to dealing with that on for some months. Emergency reserve, I believe. I don't know if
yeah,
is that
yeah.
the correct word, but yeah, maybe. Or reserve for emergency. I don't know. But this
Mm.
concept, for example, is one of the most important things that I believe that people should know about, you know. It's pretty important to have this amount of money to dealing with some emergency for some months. And maybe it was the most important concept that I have learned on the on when when I have started to study about this, you know, is that's so important. And I don't know if a lot of people know about this, and maybe I don't know if a lot of people can do this, you know, if they can create this reserve for emergency. But it's pretty important. On this case, for example, that you haven't you don't have a job, for example, or maybe because you have an emergency about your health or something like that. And that's pretty important, you know. Maybe it's one of the most important things.
Yeah, I always did that because my family is a little poor, so sometimes they need money for emergency, a true emergency. Like I remember one day that my sister don't feel well, and my mom don't have money, but I have this emergency money, and thanks of that we go to a doctor, you know, so it's very important. And I always do that because I'm not in a safe place. I'm not in a safe job. So I think it's necessary. because you don't know, right? So the next day don't depend on you sometimes.
Yeah, exactly that. You don't know how an emergency will come, you know. So it's important to have like some money to deal better with that, and you can sleep okay with this point of uh I have some money if some emergency work happen, and yeah, it's pretty important, you know. It's not I it's not just an emotional thing, but it's also a rational thing or something like that. It's pretty important. Uh Amazing, amazing. And what about you, Karina? Let me know your opinion.
I think debt is really related to feel anxious. So I think it's the main cause of the most of the anxious people. It's about money. It's concern about money. Um, Also, I think in Brazil we have the most of the population. I think they like spend more than earn. So I was wondering days ago about my FGTS because I have like really good money in FGTS, and I was talking to my father to if I could get this money and invest in other things was like great thing to do, but we can because the most of the population doesn't know what to do with this money. So it's like a emergency. It's the money for emergency too when you got fired, for example. So I think is that it's debt is really related to anxious. I think because, for example, my mom is always concerned about money, about how pay credit card, about how buy something for the house or how pay a bill. So I think it's really related.
Yeah, I think that's the interesting point. Here in Brazil, for example, to have a house or something like that, a lot of people need to create a financing. I believe that's the word, like financiamento and
A mortgage, isn't
mortgage.
a mortgage, I guess. I'm not sure.
Mortgage.
Oh no.
Can can you type that on the chat?
Let me see here.
I really don't know how to say that in English, but I was searching here and it's maybe financing or I don't know, funding
Find
grant. I don't know.
funding, yeah,
Funding.
funding,
Yeah, maybe.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But
The
but
Google
uh
translates that to me, you know.
yeah, exactly. I was searching here as well. But okay, in a general way, yeah, mortgage. I have never heard about this word, but
Things
nice.
like a
Really.
name, you know, a personal name.
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly.
Yeah, it's like just the act to have
Okay.
spend have money to a house and pay for
Yeah.
the bank and the little steps. Like
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
specifically for houses.
I
yeah,
understand.
is related to the concept about hipoteca, you know, it's so specific
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
about this. Yeah. Nice.
Mortgage.
Amazing.
Cool. Very cool.
Mortgage. Nice, pretty nice. And well, in a general way, I think a lot of people here in Brazil focus on that, for example, and we create like a debit for a lot of years, you know, and it's pretty hard to know how will be your life in the next 10 years, for example. But when you create this, you need to pay money for maybe 20 or 30 years in a sequence, you know, and I believe that it will take you for a lot of anxious, and it's related to this point that Karina said, and it's pretty complicated when you think about dealing with money for a long time and you don't know what will happen in the next years, for example. So it's pretty complicated, and I don't know. I believe that's impact a lot on your life. All the time, you know, and it's pretty important to know about this and to deal with that. I don't know if it's possible to all the time to be like doesn't have this concern about this, but it's important to know the minimal things and to deal in a general way with that, you know. But yeah, it's a complex point as well here in Brazil and on your reality and all this stuff. So it's complicated.
Yeah,
But
I remember a
yeah.
soap opera that she passed through on the TV some years ago called de Éramos Cinco ou Seis, I don't remember. It's a
Mhm,
book actually, and the story is the main point of the story is the house, you know. So the couple did a mortgage, is that Karina? I think
mhm,
that mortgage.
mhm,
So so uh, in the story they always be worried about how they will pay the house, you know. So I think is a common reality in our country. And sometimes people get debts not because they don't have a good education, a good financial education. It's because people don't gain well, unfortunately, and the things are too expensive. So it's complicated, you know. You live with a minimum wage, so it's almost impossible. So yeah, that's it.
Yeah, I was thinking here, I don't know your opinion, but and I don't know if it's just a perception, but I have the idea that here in Brazil, in general, we have a lot of problems with money that maybe on other countries they don't have that, you know. I don't know if it's just a perception, uh, but I don't know. I have the perception that here in Brazil we are so concerned about money and we don't know how to deal with money in a general way, you know. It's like a common thing here, you know.
Yeah,
I think,
yeah. I'm sorry, Karina. Go on,
no,
go
it's
on.
okay, go on.
No, go on.
Eh, I think it's really related to education because we don't have like any notion about how to deal with money. So we're always
Exactly.
concerned and always spend money, but we don't have no idea how to save money.
Yeah.
Yeah, but because yeah, I agree, but not totally agree because I think there is some things that the education can solve. Maybe education is just a tool because you know we have taxes on the food, so I think it's a tax that is very cruel. Guys, are you frozen?
No, I can hear you
Can,
well.
yeah.
Okay, maybe my internet is not so good. So, yeah, that's it. Just because I think some taxes is unfair, you know. So, you can see rich people with pay less taxes than the poor people, you know. And it's complicated just to say that is a educational thing because it's more than an educational thing. It is a government problem, I think, you know, and a society problem too. So yeah, that's it. Yeah,
Yeah,
just to say that.
there are a lot of problems, you know. It's not just the educational point, but I agree that education is so important on this point because when you have a nice education, you can know about
Mm-hmm.
what you know, and you also can
Yeah.
know what you don't know, you know. And it's pretty important to dealing with that because if you have a nice education, you that will take you to learn about a lot of things, and money is one of these things, you know. So it's important
Yeah.
to think about this point. But I also agree with
Mm-hmm.
you on the point of taxes here in Brazil, and it's not about taxes specific, you know. I believe the problem is related to we pay a lot on that, and and we actually we don't have the return about this, you know. We pay a
Mm-hmm.
lot on taxes, and we need also to pay about health, about to
Yeah.
security,
You pay
about
twice.
education. Yeah, it doesn't make sense, you know. So it's pretty crazy because, for example, in some countries on Europe, they pay more in taxes in a percentual compared to us, but they have the return, you know. The point about Brazil, in my opinion, is pretty hard because you pay a lot of tax and you can we don't have the return. You know, it's pretty insane to think about this. So yeah, it's maybe uh, a set of things. You know, is a lot of problems. There are a lot of problems actually, but yeah, it's a long term change as well. It's not easy to change this in a short run. But okay, we are on the question number two, actually. So let's go to question number three. In a general way, do you prefer to save for the future or enjoy the present, or maybe do both and balance that? I don't know. And why do you think in this way? Let me know, Karina, what you think.
I try to have a balance between save and spend, but depends of the month, depends what I want to do. Like I really like to travel, so I spend a lot of money traveling. So for me, it's not a problem because I'm awareness about it. Like it's something I like, it's something that I enjoy to do. But I try to balance those things. But for example, I live in São Paulo. In São Paulo, it's really expensive to do anything. So if I want to go to the movies and dinner after, I will spend probably 2,000 reais in a night. So,
Oh,
so yeah, just to have hours of fun, like just watch a movie and to eat something after. So I try to balance. I prefer save monies always I can, but it's not every month, for example. Depends. But here in São Paulo, it's really difficult because it's a huge city with huge prices too. It's really expensive.
yeah.
Yeah, did you say about 2000, but it's 2000 or 200? Because 2000 is a
200,
lot of money.
2,000. Yeah,
Okay,
Okay,
yeah,
okay,
200. Yeah, 200.
I'm thinking like, oh my goodness,
No, no,
yeah,
yeah,
it's a very expensive city.
no, no,
yeah,
no, no.
exactly. Yeah,
Also,
yeah, go ahead.
yeah, also my rent it's really expensive too. Like just to sleep in my house, I pay a lot of money.
Yeah, yeah.
I understand this point because here in Recife is also expensive, but I believe that São Paulo is more. And I was confused when you said because I was thinking about wow, if you spend like 2000 in
Yeah,
one night, it's pretty
I'm
crazy,
just
you know?
thinking like a fancy restaurant, you know,
Yeah,
No,
fancy
I think
exactly.
it's
movies.
impossible.
Yeah,
2,000, it's impossible. It's impossible.
I think it's not impossible. If you want, you
yeah,
you do.
yeah,
But
yeah.
yeah, yeah.
But here in Recife, for example, 200, it's pretty common if you go like on dinner night, for example. It's actually maybe more related to, okay, it depends of the restaurant, but maybe 200 or 300, it's pretty like common in a general way, you know. So yeah, and actually, I don't know. All the time that I go to a market, for example, I spend like 50, yeah, 50 reais, you know. So nowadays it's pretty expensive to live in a capital, you know. So it's complicated. It's complicated. But okay, I'm lost on the question. Question number three,
Yeah,
right?
that's right,
Yeah.
yeah.
So let me know, Catherine, what you think about this.
Oh, let me see the question number three. Okay, I have the same opinion of Karina because I try to to find a balance too. My city is also a expensive city. I think he was a very expensive city, but I had a lot of things to do here that don't spend money, you know. I can go to the park, go to the beach. I have a movie in my city, so I even spend with the transportation to go in the cinema. So yeah, I think I can enjoy things without to spend a lot of money, you know. And sometimes there is a different ways to spend, to enjoy the city without spending so much money. Like I really like to hiking, and is a thing that you don't spend money. I like to roller skating, like I said before, and usually we go out in a group, you know. So sometimes we travel and everybody share the bills, so it's not expensive too. So yeah, that's it. I try to save a little money and try to enjoy because I don't know, you know. I live today, but I don't control the future, so I think it's not good just to save money. Unless you have a target, you know, like something that you really want to do. So yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point because you both said about experience and spending money with experiences, you know, like travel or do something, and not just buy something. And I think in this way, or I try to do that as well. I try to balance this point of saving for the future and also enjoy the present. But I believe that the most important point about to enjoy the present and not to just spend a lot of money enjoying the present is focus on not spend a lot of money buying things, you know, that you doesn't need in a general way. So, for example, I don't know if it's that common for a lot of people, but I try to have a cell phone for a lot of years. For example, about, I don't know, 4 or 5 years or something like that. And I see a lot of people buying a phone every year. Or yeah, and I don't know that some people need to do that because they work with cell phone, for example, and that's okay, but a lot of people focus on like change their cell phone or the computer all the years, you know. And for me, is that pretty crazy? In my opinion, you should focus on spend money with things that you need in a general way, and not focus on material things, and maybe more on experience traveling or something like that. And I don't know. I don't know why people do that in a way, mostly here in Brazil, but I believe that people focus a lot on buying material things and do that to impress other people, you know. I don't know
Mhm.
if you both feel the
I
same,
think
but
it's like a cortical, is that cortical signalization, maybe, that you belong a group, you know? Like I have
yeah,
money to buy iPhone, so I belong this kind of group because I have money. And look at me, I have a cell phone, you know, iPhone.
mhm.
So, but I have iPhone and I didn't like, you know. I prefer Samsung, really. My iPhone trava muito, you know. So people always say the opposite to me, but I had a Samsung and never happened. And yeah, it's just sometimes just you know the brand that you want to do. So yeah.
That's really funny because I don't know people that have an iPhone and they are concerned about this, you know. It's in my experience, it's just the opposite, you know. It's pretty funny to hear about this. But uh actually, let me know, Karina, you are talking.
I have iPhone, but I've never bought a new iPhone. I'm
Wow.
always like trying to buy from another person who is like in the second hand. So
Mhm.
because the new one's really expensive, so I'm always when I have a broke my phone, I don't know when my phone was broken, I always try to find other in the second hand.
Yeah, I just bought mine because I have to go to outside and there my previous cell phone broken. So I had to buy a new one, you know, and the iPhone was cheaper than Samsung. I don't know why, but outside iPhone is cheaper, you know, than Samsung. So I bought for this reason. But I prefer Samsung, really, guys. I think it's better because I live, you know, Rio is not so a safe city, so sometimes I have a fear to get out with this phone. So it's complicated to have this fear, no? So yeah, that's it.
Yeah, and I really feel this point that you said because I have a Samsung, for example, and I like a lot the system and all these points work. Actually, I don't use a cell phone like a lot of people like to for games or something like that. So for me, a simple device, it's okay as well. And I have never had an iPhone, for example, but I don't agree with the price of an iPhone in general way because a Samsung it's much cheaper and it's quite of the same, you know. I know, for example, that iPhone has like a point on social media that's pretty important and it does make sense this point, but for a lot of people it doesn't matter. So I don't understand people that focus a lot on to buying the new iPhone or the next iPhone and all this stuff. But I know about the MacBook, for example. I have worked with a MacBook and I have on Windows as well. And I know the difference between that, even mostly related to developing, for example, on IT area. It's pretty better to have a MacBook. And in this point, I also disagree with the price. I think it's a lot of related to the brand, but I also I I believe that a MacBook is better. I agree with that, but it's a lot of it's a lot of taxes related to this price, and it's also so expensive because of the brand as well. So I don't agree with that, but I understand the difference in a general way, and that's okay as well. If people like the device, it's okay. Maybe they have like an so personal opinion about the system, you know, and that's okay. They are like uh, I have forgot how to say acostumado, but they like more the system than iPhone. So yeah, they like the iOS than Android, for example. So that's okay. But yeah, let's move on to the question number four. What role does family play in your financial decisions? I don't know if it changed. It have changed by the years, for example, but I don't know. How do you think this point of family impact on your financial decisions and on your financial life in the general way as well? Um, Let me know, Karina, about you.
I think depends of the decision. For small decision, almost none. But for big decisions, like I don't know, it's the time to buy a house, for example. I always bring this topic for my father to know about taxes, to know about rate things, and etc. But for usual day things, no. Also, I'm almost married, so sometimes if you want to buy something expensive, we talk about, but usually we are like we are free to choose. So like I have my money, he has his money, and we don't like argue or do something. If you want to buy something, you buy. If I want to buy something, I buy.
Yeah, it's a good point that you said about share the financial things, I believe. And let me ask you the question number seven related to that. What do you think about this point of sharing financial in a relationship? And I don't know. Actually, I don't know if it's common on here in Brazil or for a lot of people. But what do you think about this?
I think money can establish unpleasant power relationship, you know. So if I don't know if you earns more than me, you can, I don't know, be some have a power relationship, I guess. So he doesn't know how much I earn, and I don't know how much he earns. So we just have to pay the bills, and we like not split 50-50, but we split like I pay less because I earn less. And we know, like, we don't know exactly the amount of money, but we have like, it's more or less. So I believe in a relationship, you have to have your opinion, your freedom with your money. So it's my money, it's his money, it's not our money. Maybe when I have kids after marriage, I don't know, things change because you need to pay more bills and schools and etc. But for now, I prefer this way. Also, I really want to stay working. So I think it's really problematic when you stop to work to just stay at home as a woman and the man still working and provide the house. So
Yeah, I totally agree with you. I think this point of the power that someone puts on the relationship, it's pretty complicated when people focus a lot on discuss about specifically about money in a general way, and put like a limit or something like that. And I don't know, for me it's pretty strange to think about the point of in a relationship, and you are like uh concern a lot about divide the money or something like that. I think it's like a team or something like that. And it's important to deal in a natural way on your limits with that. So I think it's an interesting way, I believe, to deal with this. But I understand that people are different and that's okay. Actually, I believe that's more, it's most important. Um, the couple to like understand how to deal with money between both. That's the most important thing actually. But nice, that's a good point. um and what about you, Catherine? What role does family play in your financial decisions in a general way?
Yeah, in fact, I don't have my family yet, I just have my mom and my sister, my previous family. So yeah, I think it's a complicated question to answer because they don't have so much influence about my decision when I have to deal with money. But I agree with Karina. In my previous relationship, uh, was the same, I gain less than my ex-boyfriend, so usually they pay the the major part, I think. So but I always want to keep in working because it's a sensitive topic for women because gain money is related to the power. And sometimes when you have a kid and you have to quit your job to take care of your kids and take care of your for house, you has less power. So this complicated, very complicated, because I had some friends that passed through some difficult situation because depends on the money from the husband. So it's complicated because when you go to an interview and you have a kid, the first thing that they ask to you is like, oh, how many kids do you have? Do you intend to get pregnancy this year? So it's very cruel. It's very difficult to find a job after have kids, so it's complicated.
Yeah, I totally understand this, and it's really complicated this point for a woman. And actually, last week, I believe, I have brought a topic related to, in a general way, to choose between to be a mom and to focus on your career, for example. And
Mhm.
in my opinion, it's pretty complicated to do both. It's pretty hard. It's not the same for men, for example, and it's pretty hard for a woman to deal with that. In a general way, maybe they will need to choose between both, and maybe they can put some like the same effort on both. So it's pretty hard to think about this and how companies works as well in this idea. And it's also related to money, you know. It's pretty complicated to dealing with that. But yeah, it's a complex point. It's for other topics, I believe. But actually, unfortunately, we don't have time for more questions. But I would like to know in a quick answer what do you think about the immersion? So, Karina, let me know about you that it was your first immersion. So, what did you think?
It was really great. Really, really great. It's like comfortable space to talk and
Nice,
really good.
nice, amazing, amazing. And what about you, Katerine? What did you think
Yeah,
about the topic?
first of all, congrats about your first immersion, Karina. And I want to invite you to my immersion on Monday, 5 p.m. if you want to join me. And about the immersion, it was awesome. The topic's very, very interesting about money. And I had the opportunity to recap some words, you know. So yeah, thank you. Thank you a lot.
Amazing, amazing. So I would like to send here on the chat the link of the survey. It's an
Mhm.
anonymous survey, and you can say what did you think about the immersion there, and you can suggest other topics to talk as well. And yeah, that's the main idea. I would like to thank you for coming. I hope you enjoyed the conversation, and I hope to see you on the next time as well.